Welcome back to J.K. McLeod. Today I'm working on an Beaver 2.0. It's one of the oldest projects that's been sitting around. Doesn't appear to have all that much use on it. I mean, judging from the cover and the bar itself. Chain. I'm gonna maybe use it 2, maybe 3 times ish, maybe. Yeah, even though it's filthy as all hell, and I gotta get the pawls to work their way loose. I'm gonna give this a good cleanup. I tested it; it fires on prime, so we got spark and we got compression. And this is the auto oiler model, akin to the 160S. So let me get all the top layer of grime off everything. Prettied up. Let's see what we get. Now that everything is relatively cleaned up, it almost looks like a almost chainsaw, maybe. But we're going to start by removing the carb and the coil. 1, 2, 3. I think they're T20. Coil wire off. 1, 2, 3. Coil out of the way. And this little insulators, you can just leave them there. Wiggle it off. Get this all unstuck. And it's getting hung up here. Oh, I see. Old guides. Alright. Guess you need to pull them in order to clear the flywheel. 2. There we go. Pop them back there for now. And the carb's off. Piece of gasket. And we'll replace those once we clean this out. And just for shits and giggles, let's see what's inside of it. See what we get. And the tank didn't smell too bad. Smell worse, but you can see there's a little varnish around there, nothing too spectacular. A little varnish on the spacer. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little varnish there on the spacer, nothing. And, oh yeah. Well, I mean, there's some life in there, but not much. A whole lot worse where it sounded like construction paper. Okay, and that little disc there comes off. Do not throw that away. You're going to need it. It doesn't come with the new kits. feels kind of stucky. It's all kind of varnished in there. Let's see what we got. Okay, a little penetrating oil in there first, just to break it loose. Let that sit there a little bit. Dissolve the varnish. Spring. And let's see if we can gently work this needle loose. There we go. Oh, not too bad. As you can see, there's quite a bit of varnish on there. Alrighty. Where's that other can? Let's see if we can. Oh yeah, there we go. Get that work in there on the varnish. So when we throw in the ultrasonic cleaner, we'll have a head start on it. I believe it's an RB39 kit for Zama. I'm not quite sure. I'll double check once I check the inventory. Well, I'm gonna throw in the ultrasonic bath, get it nice and clean, and we'll pick it up from there. Let's get the case together. Get a bunch of nuts and bolts and screws. I got in these Ziploc bags. Let's see if we can get everything together. Hopefully all the parts are here. I do believe. Well, I know on the yellow case, we'll see on the newer black case when it's supposed to be 2 round spacers that go in there to prevent you from crushing the plastic. See if they're necessary, because I don't think they're here. And if not, I think I've got a couple of them laying around somewhere. But first, let's get the trigger attached. Trigger. Okay, this edge up goes right in there, and the trigger goes right in there. And in the front, I don't know if you can see right there, there's a little tab that spring goes on. Now, I've never, not much case of having to remove it unless I broke a trigger, which I haven't. But trying to get that spring on that little tab is going to be fun. I'll tell you what, let me see if I can get the tab on the the spring on the tab first. Okay, that wasn't too bad. And then grab the spring, bring it back, hook it to the trigger. Then we got a pair of pliers. There we go. Oh yeah, it's going to be exciting. Now, I'm sure McCulloch had some sort of proprietary spring stretchy tool to do that. Get a work of what we got here. There we go. Okay, it's going to go in that little hole right there. And there. Let's see if I can get it properly lined up. No. Let's try this one more time. We'll get a little angle here. Figuring this out right along with you. Alright. I'll tell you what, let me futz around this for a while because we're going to be sitting here. And I'll let you know which way I did it. There we go, second try. I got it now. Springs in. What I do is I stick a small wire tie through there, hook it on the end of the spring, pull it all through, push down, pull up, and it goes on that little tab. Now the trick is to remove this without popping the spring off that tab. That's why this is the second attempt. Thought I had it the first time, but yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to clip it and then just kind of slide it off without having, make sure I don't pull that spring off. Let's see how this one goes. Yeah, the other way around. Nice and close. There we go. I guess use a small screwdriver to hold it in place while you pull the rest of the tab out. Let's see how this works. You popped the spring off on me last time. Did it work? Did it work? Yes, it worked. And the spring's on there. There you go. Now you have some sort of trigger return now. Okay, let's get the back end of the handle on, see what we get. There we go. Let me see if I can show you something better. Once it's on, trigger won't go, squeeze the handle. Yeah, so that's working okay. Let's see, yeah, I think I'm going to need this two little round spacers that go in there that are missing. We're probably going to need those. See if I can find them somewhere. Okay, let me get the, at least rudimentary, get the handle on. Let's see what we get. And here we go, the handle on. Now those, I just put them in here just to hold everything in place. Those spacers are still missing. Now, if you don't have the spacers, and they, I guess they're pretty hard to find, I would recommend getting them, I don't know, hand tight, decently tight, with a little bit of Loctite on them, just to make sure they don't back out, because you really can't get on them hard. And this little screw here, which is a pretty long one, it's a wood screw, and it goes into the plastic here. Don't over tighten it. A lot of times they'll over tighten it and wind up breaking all the plastic here. Put the triggers in. Safety works. And the high idle hold. Let's see if we can get that to work. Push button in. There we go. And that works. Let me get a little better in frame. Okay, high idle, and comes off. Alright, we're almost there. Okay, let's see if we can get the hose. Actually, do this one here. Let me see what this fuel tank looks like. Not too bad, I've seen worse. Gotta give it a good clean first before I put it back in, but okay, that's the tank fitting. Put a decent hose, attach it here, and that will stay underneath like that. It's got to stay in this position because there's a channel that this goes into. And if you do it on this side of the wire, it'll pinch. And also, when you cut a piece of hose, cut it the exact length. You know, the tendency is to try to cut it a little longer than what you need. The problem is, as it gets into the case, it's so tight, it'll bend like that, and with the new hose, it'll kink it and cut off the fuel flow. Okay, let me cut this up, attach this, and we're ready to massage this engine back in place. Okay, a few things need to be done before you get the engine back in the case. One, attach the fuel line and the fitting. Make sure it goes on the inside of the wire. Two is the throttle. Attach it to the carb first, and then rotate the flywheel around so the magnet's right next to it. So the magnet will hold it in place. Because this is going to be like a three-handle, sorry we lost the monkey tail kind of operation. Okay, let's see if we can massage this in place. Some guys pull the plug. I generally don't need to. Just get the spark plug boot through the back hole. Like I said, a three-handed operation. Let's see if I can get it this way. There we go. Okay, spark plug boot through. And as you can see, actually a bit more light. High quality flashlight. There we go. Let's see that it goes right through. Maybe get a little better shot of it here. Right through, stick the boot through, and kind of semi get it in place. Alright. Okay. Need to do. I may have to do that. Have to do that first then. Getting the. Well, after much poking, prodding, and cursing, I figured out how to do the throttle linkage and the grounding wire with this particular type of switch. With the other style, there's just a little piece of metal that sticks up, and as you push the switch up, it makes contact. Here, you actually have to get a small fitting onto the switch in a very tight space, and not to interfere with the throttle. Now, in my other videos, you saw how I get the throttle in. Just squeeze the trigger, bring the little throttle lever over, release the trigger, and just push it down. Well, we got a flashlight. We need some better. Let's see if that works. Yeah, and push it down. Let's see if it's overexposed. Here we go. Right into that little notch, a little handshake. Kind of sits like this. And then with a needle nose pliers, I find if you bend the tab down a little bit, it'll give you the angle. Just a little bit. Don't go too crazy. Get the fitting on with a pair of needle nose, and then just push it back up. Rather than trying to remove the switch, because it really isn't much, not much clearance between that and the flywheel. So you try to tuck it over as much as you can. So see if we can actually do that now. Make sure it never touches. Just make sure that's on there. And we're good. It's close, but it ain't touching. And the throttle works. The other thing that had me perplexed, I had to relearn again, is the idle adjustment screw. This particular type, if it sits too high, you either got to screw it down all the way, or if not, remove it completely in order for it to clear the case. I got it like 90% there. Just the holes weren't lining up, and I saw like a little scraping on the top of that screw. I said, okay, and I screwed it all down, and it popped right back in. So you can align 1, 2, and 3 right on the handle, and that's pretty much all that holds it in the case. Those 3 little bolts. Okay, and pretty it up. Put the little ring on once I clean it up. Choke lever, starter. Let's see what we can get here. I gotta clean this out before I put it back on. See what kind of fuel flow we get out of it. If not, I'll have to pull that little filter out and replace it. Yeah. Get the rest of this bolted up. Let's see what we get. There we go. Okay, for the starter, remove the handle. Make sure you get a nice clean edge. Take it a little lighter and burn the end. See if you can get it down to a point. Through there. Handle on. A small knot in the end. There you go. There you go, 3 little screws, and the starter's on. One, 2, 3. I'm surprised, except for those little spacers, this Boxo Mac Mini is fairly complete. There we go. Okay. Check out the tank, make sure everything's hunky-dory. Throw the choke lever back on. So your choke is closed. There we go. As you can see, there's the other fitting for the tank is right there. A little O-ring around it. And as you slide the tank on, you align the 2 holes, pop it into place. 2 screws hold the cover on, and that's pretty much it. The thing you have to do is make sure the oiler aligns with that hole right there, so it makes a nice tight seal. And we check out the tanks, see if she holds fuel, get it cleaned out, and we'll pop it on. And that is the happy Mac dance of joy. Beaver 2.0 back together again. Well, 90% anyway. Gotta get a cover for it. Not bad shape. Decent bar. Yeah, okay chain. Could use a sharpen. Gotta find a yellow cover for it. And this is the akin to, say, the 160S. Electronic ignition. Okay. Now the only thing is, someone tried to add an automatic oiler to this. Unfortunately, either they come from the factory auto oiler or not, because there needs to be an open pulse port in order to activate the pump that go in and out with every revolution of the engine. Without that port, just putting on an oiler, an automatic oiler, is not going to do it. But it does manual oil very well. Okay, let me get some ventilation. Start it up. Out. Shake out that clutch. See what's going on there. Because I've already tightened this and it's come loose. Shouldn't come loose like that. Pop off the clutch and see what's going on. There we go, much better. Found the problem. Why the chain wouldn't stay tight. When you do these things piecemeal over weeks, you forget what's what and what's on who and what's bad, what's not. Yeah, that was never going to work. So I'll put a good used sprocket on there, 3/8. Grease the bearing, tighten it up, and there we go. And as you can tell, she oils, though manual oil only. I'll find a cover for it. I'm ready to find a new home.